This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's just after 6 p.m. on Tuesday, June 15th, so I'll call this meeting to order. I'd like to acknowledge and respect the fact that we're meeting on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Cree and the Anishinaabe, and the homeland of the Métis people. Some of our council members are attending remotely due to COVID precautions. So on the screen, we have Councillor Randall.
Hello.
Councillor Kumka.
Good evening, everyone. Got my second shot.
And with us in voice is Councillor Axworthy.
Hello.
And around the table we have
Councillor Bartmanovich.
Raymond Moore, CAO.
and Penny McMorris, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. Be it resolved, the agenda be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Second, Gerwin, thank you. Any additions to the agenda, gentlemen? Not seeing any. May I, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the minutes. Be it resolved that the minutes of the June 1st, 2021 regular council meeting be adopted as presented. May I have a mover? Graham, thank you. Second. Mike, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes, gentlemen? Hearing nothing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you. We have no delegations this evening. We will move on to committee reports. We'll start with Public Works. Councillor Bartmanovich.
Thank you, Mayor McMorris. The roads in the RM have now all been gravelled, and they're currently being graded. Once the grading is complete, the dust up will be applied throughout the municipality.
It started today.
Oh, it did start today.
Yeah, it started today.
There you go. Those guys are multitasking. And to the folks that question the timing of the dust off, the roads, of course, have to be prepared before the dust off can go on. And in the spring, the number one task at hand is ensuring a timely turn on of the seasonal water. And it's a much larger undertaking than people may have realized. And with a relatively small public works crew that we have for a relatively small municipality, it's all hands on deck for major initiatives such as turning on of the water both in Albert Beach and at the end of 8th Avenue. Then they move on to the grading, the application of the dust off, and now they'll move forward with the vast majority of other work that they do throughout the summer season. If you spot a tree down or there's another issue, Public Works reminds you that the emergency after hours number is 204-756-2568. That's the after hours number, yeah. Please remember that brush clearing is going on right now. If you're following the RM of Victoria Beach Facebook page, we try to post on a daily basis where the cleaning crew has been, where they're going to be that day and into the following day. So you can get a fairly concise idea of what's going on. Please remember that once the brush has been picked up from in front of your property, don't put out more brush because it will not be picked up. Okay. Bagged leaves, on the other hand, I've also had a couple of questions about bagged leaves being left behind after the brush is gone. It's actually Public Works that picks up the bagged leaves. It is not the brush clearing crew. So fear not, the bagged leaves will be picked up. Typically, they do it every day, so typically within the next 7 to 10 days following the brush clearing, your leaf bags should be removed as well. Public Works reports that they're having a serious issue with garbage in our e-waste station in front of Public Works. Household garbage only in the green bins, ladies and gentlemen, please. Glass in the glass recycling. Aluminum, cardboard, plastic but not plastic bags in the large recycling bin, please. And any other waste should be taken directly to the landfill on Highway 11. Don't leave it lying around the public works yard, please. There is a list of valid e-waste that is included on the RM of Victoria Beach website. And a nice little segue is Public Works reminds us that this Saturday, the 19th, starting at 10 a.m. at the VB parking lot, there is a Recycle My Electronics event where you are asked to bring your personal computing equipment so that it can be securely destroyed and all of your personal data removed. They're looking for things like desktops, old laptops, printers, all types of computer peripherals, racks and miscellaneous, servers, phone systems, and even software on disks. What they cannot repurpose, they will recycle. So this is a very important event. We hope everybody's filling up the back of the station wagon for this weekend with all of your old computers. They will disable your hard drives, so there is no fear of anything personal on an old computer kicking around, getting out into the big bad public world. They will destroy the hard drives in front of your eyes. Further to improper use of the e-waste station, appliances. We've had fridges and stoves left in the public works yard. Stop it. Barbecues, furniture, beds, they must be transported by the resident, or the resident needs to hire somebody to transport these things to the Traverse Bay landfill site. They do not belong in the e-waste station. Preventative maintenance is ongoing as always on all municipal equipment, and water samples from the well at the fire hall and the Albert Beach pump house are taken to Winnipeg regularly for mandatory testing. And of course, at the main water plant, testing is performed constantly. And that's it for public works.
And I just add that the Albert Beach water tap on the exterior of the Albert Beach water utility is turned off for the summer. So if you have been going there looking to turn the tap on and get water, it is turned off in the summer.
The tap.
Yeah, the tap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the residents who pay for that utility are on the water system. And there was complaints about traffic going in and out of there prior. So we turn it off in the summer if you need water. There is a tap at the fire hall.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for Mike? Comments?
Good job, Mike.
Thank you very much. And I took some photos today of the yard, the e-waste area, and there was a washer, stove, an old microwave, metal chair, some old weeping tiles, an assortment of garbage that people should be taking to the dump.
Yes.
It's pure laziness, people. Take
Unfortunately
it to the
so.
dump.
And if it's a matter that you cannot physically take it to the dump yourself because you don't have a truck or what have you, go to the Victoria Beach and East Beach's general interest page. Go to the buy and sell. There are small 1- and 2-man operations that are advertising to pick up your rubbish and take it to the landfill.
Well, how do they get it to the land? How do they get it to the public works yard in the first place?
Well, yeah.
On the way to the cottage, I guess.
I don't know. Anyways, it's quite a mess, and it's really disheartening and frustrating to see.
It is. That we have to spend so much time on
Because
that.
we spend time and money getting rid of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent.
Also, the cottager's guide lists quite a number of outfits who will haul stuff, remove debris. There's really no excuse for not picking up a phone and making arrangements for somebody to come and get it.
If you can't do it yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
I think that's probably the best way to put it is if you decide to put stuff there that doesn't belong, then your taxes are going to go up. Simple.
Yeah.
You're going to pay for it one way or the other.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, thank you. Finance, Mr. Kumka, we'll get your notes up on the board here.
You can just highlight the graph. Great. Okay. It's always a pleasure to present a very positive report. And again, I compliment administration and all of our employees for working very hard. At the end of May, Victoria Beach Reserve stood at $789,000, and that's up $139,000 over last year. Accounts receivable and miscellaneous assets stood at $31,700. Our cash balance is $252,000, and that's up $57,000 over last year. Our operating deficit to date is $482,000, but that's $96,000 lower than last year. Now, again, at this time of year, we run deficits because we have expenses and very little revenue, but the revenue will soon come in. If you were to combine reserves, cash, and receivables, we're at $1,073,000, and that's up a whopping $279,000 over last year. If you look on the chart, you'll notice that the numbers for 2019 appear to be much better than either last year or this year. You'll see the bars on that far left side are up. And that's because in 2019, we were able to get our tax bills out 1 month earlier, and that accounts for the growth in cash and receivables. Now, over the next 2 months, as our taxes are being collected, that will balance out. So again, always nice to report on a positive state of affairs in the municipality. Well done, well done.
Any questions for Erwin? All right.
Someone would question Erwin.
I don't know, I know. Well done, Erwin. Thank you very much. Protective Services, Mike, police,
Thank you.
please.
The police have finally received their alcohol screening devices back from DabTech. They have been calibrated and they are working just spiffy. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, everybody. They issued 31 provincial offense notices in May, mostly speeders. 2 were issued under the Off-Road Vehicle Act. There were a total of 165 call-outs in May, so it was indeed a busy month. Of those, 5 of the calls were for bears. 15 times the RCMP called our police out on assists, and they actually made a successful arrest just a few days ago. By law infractions, there were 6. 2 requests to check on the well-being of a resident. 33 COVID-19 calls that they attended. Okay, so folks, remember, you're at the lake, but COVID is still here. We unfortunately had 1 break and enter. There were 3 fires that police were called out to. 36 Highway Traffic Act infractions. 1 call pertaining to mischief. 1 noise call. Again, there were 2 ORV Act calls. 36 radar infractions altogether. So their radar works too, folks. 8 calls for suspicious activity. So again, I can't emphasize enough. Look out for yourself, but please look out for your neighbors too. There are bad people out there. 2 calls for theft. 8 general traffic calls. There were 2 investigations, which they would not tell me what they pertain to. And there was 1 call out under the Liquor and Gaming Act. So I'm busy.
Yeah. Any questions on police?
No, just one thing to add, which is that we're about to go into the summer time period. It's the last stretch for all the students, and as much as I remember being a stupid, crazy youth, for all those out there who want to come up to the beach and think that it's a COVID getaway, just a reminder, it's not. And the police will crack down on parties. So we can all still have fun, but until we all have the double vaccination and we're at full herd immunity, and we have it all clear, then parties, as much as we all want to get together, it's still a no-go, and the police will enforce COVID protocols to the letter.
Great. Thank you very much. Steve, do you have a fire report for us?
I do. Actually, I have two. I have one for April and one for May.
Okay.
So for April, there were two calls. There were two calls in April. One was a mutual aid call to assist each beach's fire department with two calls they received at the same time. The fire department attended a grass fire and helped their members put that out. The grass fire was caused by the owner of a property cutting grass with his lawnmower. Surprise, surprise. Hot mowers can cause fires in really dry conditions. The fire department then proceeded to their other call that was for a grass fire, for another grass fire that had started a structure fire, that started a structure on fire. The department helped them get this under control. The cause of this fire was left to the property owner and East Beach's fire department to work out. The second call was to a possible bush fire in Hillside. The caller was on the pier in BB and could see what they thought was a fire. On inspection of the area, it was found out to be a property owner's patio lantern. The fire department continues to maintain equipment and gear. The fire department is still not meeting for training. Our members are getting their shots, and as soon as most of them have it, have had two, we look forward to having regular training. That's April. As for May, give me a second here. Go. This one's a little bit longer, as you may expect. The fire department had a total of 4 calls in May. 2 calls were in the RM of Alexander. First call was to a fire that was caused by a tree on the hydro line. It was a small dry branch and burned off and stopped sparking. The grass fire was put out easily. The second call was in the RM of Alexander, and that was also a grass and bush fire. The fire department was able to put this out because it caused, before it caused any damage to the 3 structures nearby. One of the property owners was able to put the fire out around a boat on a trailer and save the boat. After the fire was out, the fire department assisted Hydro in investigating that fire. The department found that a green poplar branch was touching the hydro line and dropping small sparks to the ground. The hydro worker was able to cut the tree down and a few more trees around to stop this from happening again. So yes, getting the trees and the bush away from the hydro lines is absolutely critical to preventing fires.
It is. It's unfortunate.
Yep. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Steve. Go ahead.
Our fire chief asked if he could put this area on his list for trimming of trees, but I was told that there are so many areas that need trimming. He did not know when that would happen. The fire department had a mutual aid call to help East Beach's fire with the structure fire. On arrival, it was found that that had been placed under control. Fire was still burning some vehicles in the yard, but the fire could not spread anywhere else. Conservation was there, and they needed more support with spread control. It was a hot, windy day, and the Victoria Beach Fire Department had to cover their fire protection area as well as the East Beaches area. Our fire department chief ordered all units around en route to another call and to be ready for any other calls that may have come in. Our last call was for a lift assist by Pine Falls Ambulance. The fire department had gotten this type of call if the person is, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words here, is in a spot that they cannot move easily, or maybe a large person. Our department continues to maintain our equipment and gear and prepare for a busy summer season. Oh, and one fun, very interesting part had come up recently on 6th. By sun shining onto a car windshield, and then that reflected over to some dry grass. And that was the first time that Brad or anybody in the fire department had seen such a thing. It sounds like something out of a movie, but apparently it can happen. So water that grass.
All right. Any further questions for Steve? Okay. Thank you very much, Steve. Have a glass of water. Okay, special events. Mike mentioned it. The electronics recycling event this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the BB parking lot.
And the country market is on for this Saturday, starting at 10 a.m. COVID protocols are in place. They'll be allowing, they can allow up to 100 people at a time. And we're just still working out the logistics of how we can tell people things like that. They may be using the country market Facebook page and that to let people know when there's more or less people in. So follow the country market Facebook page for more information.
Thank you. Back to you, Mike, for a golf course.
Well, business has been a little bit slow due to COVID measures for a while, up until the last change in regulations. Golfers could pretty much only golf individually. So a lot of the time during the day where foursomes could have gone out, it's individual. So it's a little slow revenue wise, but it will start out. But it'll start out. The rain that we had in the recent past has been a godsend. The course is really greened up. The greens, I was out there just a few days ago, and the greens now compared to what they were before that rain is just night and day. They look just great. And it's a good thing that the rain came, because the zebra mussels are back in the sprinkler system. Now again, everybody, the golf course does not use the sprinkler system, does not come out of the water utility. It's a completely different source. Okay, so don't worry about that. They're cleaning out the lines and as best they can, and getting and keeping the sprinklers up and running on the golf course. Yeah, and that's it for golf.
Any questions for Mike on golf? All right. Up next is Graham on municipal buildings. As usual, you've been busy.
Yeah, there's always lots of stuff to do with this time of year. My report, since the May report, the order has been issued for approved metal handrails at 4 locations as selected by the Accessibility Committee, and this is work on that is proceeding even as I speak, to be completed as soon as possible. The electric door has been installed at the bakery and wired. The ramp work at the bakery is now finally complete. There were several rather costly revisions to, first of all, avoid the driveway and then allow scooter turning at the entrance door, but it all ended happily, and it's all done and complete. Quotes are in progress for beach access with selected with amenities at selected locations, and for an accessible public washroom just off the village green. This is all in accordance with a grant application that's being prepared. This evening's resolutions will address the stairs to the beach at Red Wing, Bayview, and Clubhouse. We'll get to that later. Ceiling tiles to the Moonlight Inn are being replaced. The tree removal at the doctor's cottage is near completion. Discussions are planned between myself and Erwin, as a matter of fact, on the agenda, procedure, and presentations for an eventual public meeting concerning the fate of the Moonlight Inn. It's been decided to forego the comparatively expensive replacement of the Bayview number 4 stairs until next year. But in the meantime, a quote for the site prep and screw piles has been obtained, and details on the structure are being ironed out. And a last minute addendum in communication with Aaron Vincent a couple of days ago. He's indicated that he plans to open the Moonlight Inn on June 25th. And that's my municipal buildings report. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Any questions for Graham? All right, thank you, Graham. Dr. Irwin?
Yes, pleased to report that Sunset Spray has cleaned up all the cobwebs off the cabin, and it looks in much better shape. Brand new box springs and mattresses, 2 of them, were delivered to the cabin last week. Spring cleaning is underway. Kathy McKibben and her husband Dave, plus some additional volunteers, are doing an excellent job. It's challenging for Kathy because only one person can be inside the cabin unless they're within their own bubble. But they're working hard to get that done. Kathy has confirmed that we have a full slate of docks for the summer. And Graham and I are having some discussions with Public Works to see if we can acquire some benches. With COVID protocols in place, it's not going to be possible for people to wait in the waiting room. If we were to do that, then we'd have to be going into the waiting room and cleaning it every time a new patient came along. So what's being suggested is that we install 2 or 3 benches outside. Hopefully it won't rain. I guess if it is raining, bring an umbrella. But we're feeling much more optimistic that things are progressing along, and we're very excited about being able to provide medical services to Victoria Beach this summer. They were missed last year, but all things are moving ahead. And my thanks to the efforts on the committee to it's great to have a community-based organization that is committed, and not only committed in thought, but committed in time and work to make things happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the answer, Graham?
Thank you, Irwin. Raymond, let's not forget to ask Public Works to put the doctor's sign back in place. It was removed and stored last year.
Not till the end of June.
Yeah, at the appropriate time. Thank you, Irwin.
All right. Communications, Mike or Steve? Oops, yeah, that's right, sorry.
Yeah, the big thing is that we're using the RM of Victoria Beach Facebook page to get people information as quickly as we can about the brush clearing, about the electronics recycling and such things. So give it a like, and you'll be kept up to date with what's going on in the RM from the authority.
For our emergency communication system, Brad has been trained up on how to designate the different zones, and how to start to essentially build our database up, so that way we can target the individual areas for when there is a fire or another control fire. So we should be able to get that finalized within the next month or so.
So I'm surprised at the number of people who are not on Connect. I know there are a lot of people who are, but there are a lot of people who aren't. So if you're talking to people, and maybe in our first article for the Herald, which deadline is this Friday.
Yes.
Maybe that Connect and how easy it is to sign up. Because I've had some people say to me, oh no, I just rely on Facebook. And I say, well, the RM of Victoria Beach Facebook page? Oh, no. And I said, well, some of the information is not always accurate. So either go to our Facebook page or please go to our website and sign up for Connect.
But for those of us who actually even depend on the RM of Victoria Beach Facebook page, we get our information from VB Connect. So if you want it that much faster, sign up for BB Connect.
Mhm.
You can do it online at the RM of Victoria Beach webpage, or call the RM office in Winnipeg, and they'll help you sign up. All you need is a landline, and they can still get the information to you in a timely fashion.
I think the most important thing, though, to consider is that like Connect offers a fairly decent service just for our everyday lives. Like knowing that, well, I mean, not anymore, but previously that there was a hydro failure and that we'd have a boil water. Obviously, we don't have that anymore. But sort of like, you know, larger things, that's really what Connect's for. So for everyday life, like it's beneficial. And I can see some people saying, well, you know, I'll just rely on Facebook. But Mike is not going to have time to post on Facebook that evacuate right now and let you, resident over in Pelican Point, tell you exactly what to do in that moment, because he's going to be evacuating himself. What Connect really is there for, beyond just the larger announcements that we have, is for the emergency situations such as a tornado, such as a wildfire, such as any major event, as in the winter. If we have a power outage in certain areas and we have to tell people to find ways to get out of the RM for whatever reason. That is what the system is designed for. So in a true emergency, you don't want to be looking at Facebook and realize that you're out of time. It's a lot easier when you're anywhere in the RM, and because of where your location is, the system will tell you what to do and where to go, and you don't need to guess in that moment. That's the purpose of Connect. So it's not just simply an information tool, it is a life-saving tool.
Correct. Thank you. All right, Summer Information Office, the 3 young ladies are returning this summer, and they will be starting, I think, on June 25th, or will they be in there the afternoon?
A little bit on the Thursday, but really they're just setting up.
They're setting up, because some people do stop by and ask for their passes early. I don't know if we...
Don't expect your pass on Thursday.
Okay, expect the pass Friday.
They got to set everything up.
Yeah.
Organize themselves. So.
Okay.
And it's a limited shift. It's not. They're not there for.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Building inspector, Mr. Rand.
Okay. Thanks, as usual, to our inspector, Curtis. The list gets longer and longer every month. This time around, we have, for the month of May, 3 main dwellings, 1 garage, 2 bunkhouses, 1 gazebo, 1 level building leveling, 1 shed, 3 additions, a set of stairs, a temporary building, a deck, a sauna, a demo, a pool, and a main renovation. And a partridge in a pear tree. It goes on and on. The value of the permits issued, this is in the month of May alone, is $1,372,000. Permit fees collected, that goes in our pockets and back to our taxpayers, $11,779. And the year-to-date figures, for those who are interested, we have $5,298,000 worth of permits year-to-date, and a little over $46,000 in fees collected year-to-date. So thank you, Curtis, for your report.
It is important, though, just to remember for the residents, because if anybody's questioning, well, if you're bringing in all this money, why are my tax bills going up? This is not normal. It's not year over year that we see these kinds of numbers. So this is an oddball year. Sort of same with last year. People are renovating for their COVID getaways. So these are not numbers that we've really that we're accustomed to seeing. So it's not going to be effective.
That's right. And even with these increasing numbers, you know, as far as how it affects your taxes, this could be the first year where we come very close to covering the costs of the building inspector. It's very, very close. So there's no surplus rolling around, but it takes the edge off the cost that we incur in running a building inspector office, and he attends all kinds of things and advises us on zoning, and he's probably the closest thing we've got to a bylaw enforcement officer. So he does a damn good job. So thank you.
Certainly does. All right, thank you, Graham. Accessibility, it's on the list for Public Works to install some benches in a few locations to assist residents with rest stops on longer journeys. The new wheelchair accessible picnic table will be installed outside the Moonlight Inn when they open, or shortly before the summer season gets underway. And Graham has discussed the railings and the door at the bakery and other various assorted accessibility items. So thank you very much on behalf of the committee and on behalf of council for getting a lot of this done. It'll help us all one day. It doesn't help us already. Steve, do you have anything on heritage and trails?
For trails, there is one thing that has come up, and I have a first-hand experience with it. Poison ivy's out. So,
it is.
yeah, be careful, because I used to be immune. Apparently, I'm not anymore at all. So, I was actually wondering, since I think that it would be a good idea if we had a quick discussion either now or sometime in the future on poison ivy control along the trail systems, because last year there was a part of the schoolhouse trail that had a patch probably about, I don't know, 20 feet long. And it's, I don't want young, I would prefer not to have young children sort of maybe using the trails and then getting poison ivy all over their ankles, like one of the counselors here has. So
Leaves of three, let them be, Steve.
That's right. Leaves of three, let them be.
It's hard to do that when you're walking down a trail and it's just like literally everywhere. So
Stick to the trail.
I was on the trail. I didn't leave the trail.
There's also an app that someone mentioned to me the other day called Seek, I believe, SEEK, and it identifies plants and trees. So just what everybody seems to have a cell phone, download the app so that you know what poison ivy looks like. I don't know. Want to start.
Yeah, I definitely know what it looks like. I also know exactly where I got it too, because it was there's a part that is not very well managed. So anyway, that's just something I would like us to consider, because we do spray at the parking lots. So I think that since people are using that quite often, that it would be something to think about. For heritage, I do need to. I let this fall by the wayside. It was my fault. I need to reach out to the people who did get the volunteer award. So I'm going to be doing that this Saturday once all the marks are in. Once all my marks are in, and I'll be moving forward with getting them their awards. And just for everybody to know, the new volunteer awards are now open. So if you wanted to nominate somebody, you have until September to be able to do so. And again, these are awards for our volunteers who put in countless hours and do just unbelievable work for the community. So it's good to have them be recognized. And I know a few of them. And it was funny because they said that they didn't want an award, but it just goes to their kindness that they don't want to be recognized for the work that they do. But it's always good to recognize these. So it's open. So the sheet's online. Go download it, fill it out, send it in.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve. All right, any further questions on the reports, gentlemen? All right, be it resolved that the June committee reports be accepted as presented. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Erwin, second. Thank you. No further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you very much. Moving on to accounts and finances. Be it resolved that the following list of accounts be approved for payment. Accounts payable checks 9292 to 9343 in the amount of $168,544.13. June 11th payroll in the amount of $47,741.14, and Visa in the amount of $17,469. May I have a mover, please? Erwin, thank you. Graham, will you second?
Yes.
Thank you. Erwin, would you like to speak to this?
Certainly, thank you. I'd like to point out that of the $160,000 or $68,000 that are paid out this month, nearly $94,000 of that goes for our municipal insurance. For those of, I had a career in commercial insurance, and for those of our residents who own their own businesses, you will know that in the past 2 years, insurance premiums for commercial risks have increased significantly. Increases of 25, 30, or 40% are not uncommon. Some municipalities in other parts of the country are, I read of one that was up almost 100%. This year, our rate increase, which is managed by Western Financial, was under 10%. The municipal program that Western runs for almost all of the municipalities in the province is truly a unique and best of class. Part of the program is a group benefit plan for our employees, and I'm pleased to report that Blue Cross manages the program, but when the results are favorable, a rebate is given to our employees, and this month they will be receiving just under $2,000 in rebates for their Blue Cross benefit plan. Again, I know of no other plan for health benefits that gives money back. So again, it's a huge benefit, and we're very fortunate that we can be part of this municipal plan. So that's my unpaid commercial for Western Financial. Otherwise, things pretty routine expenses, nothing sizable, just that big insurance bill.
Right. Any questions for Erwin? Thank you, Erwin. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. All right, moving on to other business. Be it resolved, the RM of Victoria Beach Council approved the 2021 vehicle permit list. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Oh, now you're all sticking your hand up. Second, who would like to second, Graham or Erwin? Or Steve?
Erwin.
Erwin, all right. Erwin, thank you, gentlemen. The council meets annually every year to discuss people who have applied for permits. Those include medical, business, permanent residents, and we approve or deny. And this is what the list is. There are always more that come in as the season goes on. Contractors, people who need a pass for the day, those can be picked up at the information office, but we do pay attention to who applies and why. If you had a permit from last year and you did not apply this year, please fill out the forms so that we know where you are and what your vehicle is and whether or not we can approve it or not. Every new permit that comes in still requires 3 members of council to say yes. So, yes. Any other comments on the permits?
No, they were reviewed exhaustively, line by line, and we take these permit applications seriously and put quite a bit of effort into approving or not approving them. So I'll certainly vote for them to be passed as submitted.
And a reminder to the voters that any abuse of our staff will not be tolerated.
Oh, yeah.
No abuse of our staff
No
will
abuse
be
of our
tolerated.
staff will be tolerated.
Any other comments?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Moving on to the Veolia quote. Be it resolved that the RM of Victoria Beach Council accept the quote from Veolia to supply replacement lamella for the 8th Avenue Water Treatment Plant at a cost of $10,397.10, taxes included. May I have a mover? Erwin, thank you. Graham, second. Thank you. I talked to Trevor about this today and I said, what exactly is lamella? Yeah, lamella ding dong. And he did try to explain it to me. Do you have a better?
It's piping, they're custom piping. It's design built for that plant. They're all different. So it has to come from Veolia. They're the plant manufacturer. They're expensive. They're not in the situation where they have to be replaced this year, but it's coming. So we want to be lined up and ready to replace them probably at the end of the season or the beginning of next season, whichever works.
And they're the only guys who can.
Yeah, because they're custom built,
Yeah.
and it's their plant, so they know exactly what they need to reproduce.
On this forearm.
Yeah.
That's just the beginning of other improvements that we need to do.
David, will they be able to do the installation after the fall shutdown so that we're all ready to go come spring of 2022?
Probably. There's like a 3-month wait on the delivery, so they've been ordered in advance because it's out of the Victoria Beach utility budget, so it's not an issue to the general tax.
Well, this is sort of an add-on to the ongoing upgrade of the equipment and machinery and computer services associated with the water treatment plant. So it comes as no surprise, and it has to be attended to sooner or later.
It's a routine replacement that needs to take place every so many years as the metal pipes disintegrate.
Probably take more beating too because it's seasonal.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments, concerns? All right, all those in favor?
Right.
Yep.
Carried, thank you. The building bylaw 1620. Be it resolved that bylaw 1620 being the building bylaw be given first reading. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Second?
I'll second it because I haven't been able to second anything because I'm vocal.
Way to go. All right, Steve, thank you. Council received this updated bylaw. Are there any concerns or comments?
Raymond, could you just give us a brief summary as to what the ramifications of this are relative to the existing bylaw?
The vast majority of the bylaw, the previous bylaw, is unchanged. There's 2 main points. Definition has been added for development, and the definition is drawn from the Planning Act. So development means the construction of a building on, over, or under land. That's A. B is the change in the use or intensity of the use of a building or land. C, the removal of soil or vegetation from land. And D, the deposit or stockpiling of soil or material on land and the excavation of land. So that's one item that was added. This has been added because I developed or created, I'll use the word, a development permit for the building inspector to use going forward. So we needed a definition in the building bylaw to enable this.
Yeah. Essentially, we're not only just focusing on what you're going to build, but what are you going to do to the land? Yeah, what are you going to do to the land before you build it?
So the essence of it is you acquire a piece of land. You can't do anything to that piece of land until you get a development permit. And then subsequently to that, you will, when you decide to build something, then you'll get a building permit. There's a 2-step process.
Yeah, and the only other amendment on the in this bylaw compared to the original or the previous one is Appendix A, which sets out the fee, development permit fee of $200. It's a flat fee. So those are the 2 changes to the bylaw.
Okay.
And then just to comment on the development permit, we want to maintain the physical presence that exists in Victoria Beach in terms of the natural vegetation and so forth. And we have some rules with respect to that, and we want people to be aware that they can't just go in and clear cut without first getting a permit, and they may or may not be able to do that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Raymond. Any other questions?
Go
I
ahead, Steve.
think that we're kind of shorting ourselves right now with some of these fees. Because I was looking at like Winnipeg and Brandon and a few other municipalities, and their fees are definitely higher than ours. Some of them substantially so, some of them a little bit less. But just as an example, with their general development permits, I know that this isn't really all that big of a jump, but they have a cost of $219 rather than $200. They have some for $1,000 dollars or less. They have $165. We have $50 to $35. And we have 2.2 to 2.6, which are all sort of 70 cents. And some of them are really not really making sense. Sort of like the swimming pool. Swimming pools for let's just say Winnipeg, or for a permit are $165. For us, it's 75 cents per square foot. And even like an occupancy permit, we have $50 versus, and I'm only using Winnipeg because I just want to sort of use one place. They have $219. So I think that we should take a look at this. I know it's just first reading, so I feel comfortable passing it, but I think that we should really start to take a look at a good, strong comparison, especially when we consider how much development right now is going on in the RM. We should be seeing a decent, not obviously profit from our fees, but at the very least coming close or even slightly surpassing the general cost and matching what other RMs are doing.
Mike?
I hope my fellow council will remember that probably 90% plus of the development that's going on here is for seasonal purposes, and the folks that are doing the bills for seasonal purposes out here are already up to their armpits with permit costs and this and that in their permanent dwellings wherever they live.
Yeah, I think we need to remember that we did review our fee schedule not that long ago. And we're not the city of Winnipeg in this regard, and I don't know that we need to match their prices. What does other council members have to say, Graham?
I would, if we choose to review these permit costs as time goes by, they require attention from time to time. I'd much rather compare them to other equivalent municipalities rather than the city of Winnipeg. And secondly, as an aside, I would like to thank and compliment Raymond for very nicely highlighting in yellow on these bylaw changes those that are different from last time around. It cuts through a lot of the crap. Thank you, Raymond.
I think another thing that should be noted is a good building bylaw and a good zoning bylaws is to protect the greater good of everybody. It's not just the property owner applying for the permit. You're also protecting
The neighbors.
Everyone concerned in terms of what's going to be built and what's allowed to be built. So it should be looked upon as an opportunity to raise some revenue. And it's never going to, the likelihood of it ever covering your expenditures are very remote.
Slim, yeah. But we're getting there.
We've got a $3.9 million municipal budget, so $50,000-$60,000 doesn't make a lot of difference in terms of your tax levy. Very nominal.
Well, it doesn't, but $30,000 or $60,000. That would cover a new police truck if something happens to it again, like we've experienced this past year, or I mean, there's any number of things that $30,000 or $60,000 can very easily cover, and help us move towards different things. So, I mean, I'm just saying that we should take a closer look to it. Even Brandon has some of their fees are higher than ours. So I'm just saying that we should really take another just a close look at it as to what other RMs are doing, and think about increasing some of our rates to match what's going on in the rest of Manitoba.
Well, that's reasonable, Steve, but we don't want this to turn into a cash grab. Our taxpayers don't deserve that.
And as Mike's trying to say, this is first reading.
We got lots of time to discuss it, so may I suggest, Madam Mayor, call the vote?
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much, Steve. All those in favor of first reading?
All right.
Yeah.
Is that a yes, Steve? Okay, carried. Thank you very much.
You're supposed to say yay.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Bylaw 1621. Be it resolved that bylaw 1621 regulating unsafe and unsightly property be given first reading. May I have a mover?
I'll move it for the hell of it.
All right, and thank you, Steve. Irwin, will you second? Thank you. Steve's feeling very left out. You know, he's a voice in the wilderness there. Thank you, Steve. Discussion, Raymond, again, you highlighted this one as well for us.
Yes. I think there's only one area that's been changed, other than changing dates, obviously, and references to the Schedule A, Schedule B, Schedule C. Under warning and orders. 6B states if the contravention continues following the warning notice, if any provided under section 6A above or in his or her discretion, no such warning notice is provided. The designated officer, which is normally Curtis, shall issue a written order which shall, so 2 points have been added at his request, and council is looking at that, is point 5, which is upon the issuance of Schedule B, an administration fee of $200 shall be imposed and charged to the property owner, which presently there is no fee. And number V1 is upon the issuance of a subsequent Schedule B for the same property, an administration fee of $1,000 shall be imposed and charged to the property owner. So in other words, first time around, you're issued a notice, Schedule B, we charge $200 to issue the notice. If it happens again on the same property at a later time, the fee will be $1,000 for Schedule B, in addition to all the other provisions that exist in the bylaw.
Yep.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I mean, only that this is really closing a loophole that some people have had an opportunity to abuse, and it's not just in Victoria Beach; it's in other municipalities. But Curtis had sort of brought this forward and just said, "Well, listen, like somebody does something at the beginning of the season. They've done it year over year. We go through a Schedule A, Schedule B. No ramifications come to them. By the time we get to Schedule C, it's the end of the season and they've already removed everything, and then the whole process starts up the next year and the next year and the next year. So this is closing that loophole so that people who are habitually breaking the rules start to see that they can't just simply do something without any sort of ramifications.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other comments?
It's a good start. I think it needs to be broadened in a couple areas.
All right, all those in favor?
All right.
Carried. Thank you. Unfortunately, the following the agenda, bylaw 1622, the zoning bylaw, is not quite ready. So we will table that until the next meeting. We're so close.
We are so close.
We are so close. It will get there. So next up, be it resolved that the Arm of Victoria Beach Council approves a 2021 basic taxi rate of $12 per trip. Do we have a mover?
I'll move that.
Thank you very much. Second? Erwin, thank you. Discussion, I know Kevin originally wasn't going to, Kevin and Sandra weren't going to increase it, but they decided that, yes, they would. So it's worth a quarter?
Yeah, I think it's 50
cents.
cents, yeah. I checked last year, it was 150.
Okay.
So 50 cents.
50 cents, yeah.
I mean, like everybody with COVID.
COVID is costing them a lot of money, a lot more money to operate, so.
And they will be running the same protocols they did last year.
Mhm.
So.
Good.
And the parking lot opens at 11:59 PM next Thursday, the 24th of June. So yes, this is your last weekend to take a load of stuff into the vehicle restricted area. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, Red Wing Stairs. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council accept the quote from blank to repair the Red Wing Stairs at a cost of blank, taxes included. Councillor Randall
Fill in the blanks.
sent all councils some quotes. And Graham, would you like to fill us in and make some recommendations? And
Yeah, I'll pick this one up from here. Thank you. On June 10th, I sent in all of the quotes that had been received for various projects at that date. And yesterday, June 14th, I sent an update with a summary extracted from my spreadsheet. When it comes to Red Wing Stairs, we received 3 quotes from 3 different contractors. I asked the contractors for their recommendations. What would you do with these? And we had one very low quote, which was really just for Band-Aid repairs. I'd like to recommend with Red Wing Stairs that we accept the quote from Deck Dynasty for $4,118. With taxes becomes $4,323.90 to have the Red Wing Stairs not just patched up, but rehabilitated for a longer term.
all right, any questions for Graham on Red Wing?
Graham, what about the new metal accessibility handrails? Will they be incorporated?
They could be at a later date. We have unit pricing and a contractor, so these will the stairs will permit the metal handrails at a later date. We've got miles of them to do on stairs as the years go by, but the answer to your question is yes.
I was just thinking that, being as they're doing the revitalization of the stairs, it would be a logical time to incorporate the metal railings.
I think they already have a nice list.
It depends whether there's enough room in the stairs budget. I can certainly look into that, but we were looking at adding the metal handrails after the fact to locations all over the place. And the first priority for the metal handrails is for stairs and steps and ramps that are used by people with mobility issues. And if you're on a scooter or in a wheelchair, you're not going up and down the stairs to the beach anyway.
Well, you might be able to get out of your chair and hold your way down.
Yeah, I believe there is a prioritized list already of where the handrails are going to go with this year's budget. Is there not, Graham?
Yes, there is. Yeah. But no, it's a very good suggestion, Erwin. Deck Dynasty's quote provides for that. I had asked him, each of them, to make sure that the those who were going to renovate the whole stairs to allow a 4-foot width, which would accommodate the handrails. And we could add them on once they're in place and ready to go.
Thank you.
So if Raymond's been able to pencil in Deck Dynasty and the dollar value, I guess we're ready to proceed to vote on that resolution.
All right, we need a mover and a seconder. We know where we're going. Mike's moving it.
Yeah.
Graham, would you like to
Second
second?
it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, so be it resolved that the Ardmore Victoria Beach Council accept the quote from Deck Dynasty to repair the Red Wing stairs at a cost of $4,323.90, taxes included.
Right.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. Graham, any idea when they'll be able to get started?
Talking to Grant, he thought he could certainly get started before the end of June, which is what he guesstimated. But he's got other jobs going on all the time and others that may have popped up. That's why I wanted to get these resolutions through quickly rather than wait for more quotes, more suggestions, more offers, so that these guys can get started working on these. I can't guarantee they'll be done before the end of June.
That's fine. Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to the Bayview stairs. So be it resolved, the Ardmore Victoria Beach Council accept the quote from blank to repair the Bayview number 3 stairs at a cost of blank, taxes included. So Graham,
My suggestions for the blanks there is that we choose the low bidder, which is Safe Haven, for $2,992.50, including taxes.
okay, and these are more of a repair instead of a replace, correct?
Yeah, they're repair, renovate. You can see that from the quotes that I submitted. All 3 bidders were, up in the many thousands of dollars. So they took a serious approach to it. It's not quite as elaborate a rebuild as Red Wing, but it's they've assured me with what they provided for their quote that they'll do a proper job of making sure that they'll serve us for a number of years to come.
All right, so I can fill in the blanks unless council has any concerns.
I guess I'll move.
All right.
Yes, that's be it resolved. Yeah, you'll fill in the blank. Yeah.
Yeah, fill in the blanks.
That's right.
So be it resolved, the Ardmore Victoria Beach Council accept the quote from Safe Haven Builders to repair the Bayview number 3 stairs at a cost of $2,992.50, taxes included. May I have a mover? Mike, thank you. Graham, will you second?
Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you. And be it resolved, the Ardmore Victoria Beach Council accept the quote from blank to repair the Clubhouse Beach number 2 stairs at a cost of blank with taxes included. Graham?
This one was much harder to get quotes for because it's a complicated project. It involves a piece of machinery. I was just barely able to get 2 prices. I invited actually 5 different contractors. I'd like to recommend that we accept the low bid from Safe Haven for $6,872.25. This will involve rebuilding the upper deck with a bench, proper handrail, wood steps down to the beach, and the removal of the somewhat unsafe steel steps that are there now. And it's a pretty high price, but this will get it done properly. And I should point out, although it's not necessarily relevant to the cost, but the number 2 stairs to the clubhouse beach is very important to our accessibility committee. That's one of the few places where people with mobility issues hope to be able to get down to the beach. Mind you, they would have to get out of their wheelchair and go down the steps, but this will give them a proper set of steps that they can navigate. So so that's my suggestion on this, is to give it to Safe Haven. As far as his timing, he would proceed with it as soon as possible. Hopefully by mid-July.
Okay. I will read the resolution then. Be it resolved, the Arm of Victoria Beach Council accept the quote from Safe Haven Builders to repair Clubhouse Beach number 2 stairs at a cost of $6,872.25. Taxes included. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
And Erwin, thank you. Will you second? Thank you. You mentioned equipment, Graham. What kind of equipment are we talking about, and how will they access? That's only like a 10-foot down there.
This is where Wolf would bring in a small piece of machinery to remove the steel steps. It'll easily fit down the pathway. You may have noticed that I submitted a set of photos to council of the Clubhouse Beach number 2 for any councillors who might not be familiar with it. But he's got a piece of machinery that'll go down there and pull those old steel steps out.
Okay. And those steps can be somehow repurposed.
They can be recycled. They're actually stainless steel, but they're narrow, they're slippery, the run to rise is, I would have second thoughts about going down them myself, but they will be recycled back to Public Works, and they can be repurposed in a number of areas, but not where mobility issues are concerned.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carried, thank you.
Thanks, Graham. That's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work, a lot of phone calls, and a lot of
there's a lot of details, and I would like to thank council for supporting my recommendations on these so that we can get it done and get it done right. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Do we have all of this in the budget?
Oh yes, our budget for stairs is $30,000.
All right, thank you very much. Up next is, oh, wait a minute. Adjourn. No, correspondence.
Yes.
If I can start that off, we have one resident who asked that their email be read at the next council meeting. Thank you for your efforts in your respective roles and for supporting the growth and evolution of our community. Thank you also for discussing and addressing the concerns we bring to you today. Oh, I just hit the wrong button here. I would first like to let you know that my husband Randy and I have raised these concerns verbally for over 7 years without them being addressed. We have also raised them verbally again this year with some of you. With no response to our concerns, we took it upon ourselves to contact the RMVB CAO to discuss the matters noted below. And he informs us, incorrectly I might add, that's not entirely true, that he does not have any control over these matters, which I find surprising, that the workflow of an RM is not guided by its CAO. I inquired as to why the CAO does not direct the workflow of the Public Works Department, and he tells me that Public Works operates under its own planning and direction, which again seems unacceptable, or it operates under the direction of council, again, which I find unacceptable. While council should approve major projects, the CAO should manage employee activities. The CAO suggested I put my concerns in writing, and those concerns are noted below. We sincerely hope that by spring of 2022, the issues timing of the application of dust control is finally addressed. The present timing of dust control using dust off occurs too late in the spring and needs to occur annually by the 3rd or 4th week in May. I understand there are monetary concerns about having to repeat the application if it is completed too early in the season. I note the Arm of Alexander had dust control applied on or about May 25th. The amount of dust thrown off by traffic causes me untold issues with my asthma and my health, and I now must use an inhaler to get my breathing back under control. When I inquired with the CAO why Public Works waits so late in the season to apply dust off, I was told they do so close to the annual traffic restriction because that is what they've always done. I informed the CAO that it doesn't make sense to apply it then, because at that point, 90% of the traffic stops. I asked each of you why dust off is not applied when seasonal traffic is at its high point. Dust does not kick up in the air from foot traffic. I suggest that the application of dust control should take place when traffic is at its busiest by the May long weekend, and that you ensure that the annual budget allocates the proper amounts of monies should a second application be required in the fall. We hereby request immediate attention to changing the timing of dust control application closer to mid-May, and the CAO be given the authority to manage the application through Public Works staff to meet this request, adjusting employee work activities to support this new timing. Our second issues concern the states of the Public Works yard and the amount of recyclables and metal junk and other junk from old vehicles to stoves to materials. Public Works yard is a disgrace and one that requires a plan to have old items disposed of and to create a space that better represents the beauty of our community. I understand in speaking with the CAO that a plan may be underway to resolve this issue, but that it is linked to a funding request. Regardless, I believe that it is not a complex issue to start bringing old vehicles and junk immediately. The Public Works yard is unsightly and not in keeping with the community we collectively share. I thank you for your immediate attention to our concerns. I look forward to hearing back from you by phone and in writing after your council meeting and discussion. So if I may address some of the comments in the letter. The CAO is our head of personnel. He is not the overseer of the day-to-day operations of Public Works. Public Works has a schedule. They have procedures, duties, expectations that they try to follow. I asked our Public Works employee lead hand why we couldn't consider putting dust off down earlier, and he said we could. But then you put the dust off down, then you have to put the gravel over the dust off, which totally ruins the dust off. If it rains, they can't put the dust off down, or it's irrelevant. So they generally wait. They follow the process whereby they get the gravel down. They sometimes have to wait for the gravel due to road restrictions. Once the gravel gets down and the roads get graded, then they can put the dust off down, but sometimes that's not until this time of year. We could put it down again in the fall. I don't know right off the top of my head what our budget is for dust off. It's $40,000 for one application. So I certainly appreciate that if you have breathing problems and you're on a corner that kicks up a lot of dust, it would be miserable. But that would also mean that the entire municipality pays $80,000 for 2 applications of dust off. And I'm not convinced that we have received enough concern about it to warrant that.
I have neighbors on my street that share the same concerns as the regulars, and I share the concerns as well.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, in most cases, people who refuse to adhere to the speed limits are the ones that are kicking up the damn dust.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I sympathize
Mm-hmm.
In this case. And if a fall application of dust off would mean that we would have coverage into early May, which I don't think it would. We'd have to seriously look at the procedures for gravel and dust off and see if there's a way. As I said earlier in the meeting, we also have to be mindful that our public works staff is pretty busy making sure that the seasonal water system is up and running. That's everything from testing the mechanical to walking the lines. It takes a lot of man hours to do. And it could be just the way that the procedures are set up now. It's just not feasible time-wise to do both concurrently. So it's certainly something that we can investigate. As I said, I know where I live, where our family cabin is, where other friends are throughout the municipality. It is a common problem, dust early in the year. Maybe we can we definitely can take a look at it and see if there's a way that we can do things better.
This has also been a very dry spring.
And it's been a couple of dry years.
And so, but with the rain, it's much less of an issue as well. Erwin?
Just a thought, the contractor that we've been using for dust off is Grant Yaley in Ford Industries. He's been doing this for 25 odd years. Why don't we pick up the phone and just pick his brain about, they're doing work for municipalities all over the province, and I'm sure they've run into this problem. Maybe there's a simple solution. Let's just ask him.
And we should perhaps also consider the possibility of advancing the schedule for the gravel, the grading, the dust off, assuming that they have to occur in that order. In terms of putting it down in the fall, I find it hard to believe that it would have much effect after it's been subjected to snow and snow grading and snow removal. I don't know if it would work, but I like Erwin's suggestions, and I think we should consider the possibility of advancing this schedule. Public Works has a million things on their plates, but they've had to rearrange their priorities from time to time as years have gone by, and new concerns have been brought forward. I have empathy for the correspondent in this case.
No, as do I.
Mike, have you ever met Grant Yaley from Ford?
I haven't met him myself, no.
He lives not far away from where I live, so I've known him for 25 years.
Oh, well.
Why did you talk to him?
At the lake?
Do we have a
With council's
volunteer
permission, I'd be
to
happy
reach
to.
out? Great.
Um,
Yeah, Michael.
I'm not sure if
This is something that we would have to take to Public Works
Right.
and ask Public Works to see what they could do about getting the two key springtime activities, which is which is water first and foremost, and also gravel and dust off application. If there's some way that we can get them going a little bit more concurrently, how can we do that?
I think the issue is when the road restrictions come off. If you're hauling gravel
too, exactly.
If you're hauling gravel, if you're not going to gravel the roads, then you don't have that issue.
That's
But
right.
typically the municipalities gravel the roads every year. So I mean, I guess council could say we're not going to gravel the roads and then bring in the dust off earlier. I don't think that's the issue. It's the issue of getting the dust off. It's the issue of first of all putting the roads in proper shape and then bringing in the dust off. I think that's the issue. And I don't know how late the road restrictions can go. I think it can go at the end of May or May.
In years they have. They have. So
Depends on the weather.
They change it. They change every year.
That's the biggest issue, because whichever contractor we use is going to be coming down PTH 59, and the road restrictions are going to be enforced. The one comment I'd make about the CAO and the Public Works, the Public Works is they're unionized, number one. So there's a CBA, there's collective bargaining agreement that comes into play. So it's not a simple matter of the CAO butting in to the operations of the Public Works Department. Plus, that's why we have a lead hand. The lead hand's job is to delegate and oversee the operations of the Public Works, not the CAO.
But I think it's a very valid concern that we should take back to Public Works and see what they can come up with. Okay. As for the state of the Public Works yard, there is a plan for at least the garbage and the recycling portion of it. And The project is already underway, and maybe not by the end of this summer, but certainly by the end of this fall, I fully expect that we will have a new site prepared, built, housing the garbage bins and the recycling bins elsewhere in the area. That will be not as apparent to Highway 59.
But as we discussed earlier, residents and non-residents alike drop their
Stop off.
stuff off.
Let's
That
say
wasn't the
stuff.
word I was
Yeah,
going to
let's say
use. Their
stuff.
stuff
Yeah.
off. And Public Works then has to deal with it. So sometimes the guys pick it up and move it to the back until they have a big enough load of scrap metal, and then they take it and into wherever they take it.
Yeah.
There is a vehicle in the back there that is to be used for the fire department for fire practice. There is a lot of stuff in the back there, in the back 40, and when we have time, when Public Works has time, when they have a couple more employees, they know what's on their list of things to do. But it's not at the top of the priority list at the moment, but it is on the list.
Can I, sorry, just real quick, because I've been trying to butt in for a little bit. So I'm not sure if this is coming from the same person that I met with several years ago, but the last time that I had met with somebody who had this issue, they were not on the, their street was not on the abatement list. And I think that we've expanded it to every road, or at least the ones that I know of.
Not the vehicle. That's the vehicle.
No.
Oh, well, no.
Well,
Steve,
anyway, the person who had this issue, I know that we had started on that street, but I'm wondering if maybe there's, and I'm not sure about the ramifications of this, but if there are persons with serious health issues that perhaps we could address their needs at the end of the season. And only those streets if they are comfortable with that, like if they make that request. So then that way it wouldn't be an $80,000 expense for the RM every year. It would just be a slight increase to that line item. So that's just one thing to consider. I'd also just like to call again for us to bring on a task manager. So then that way we can just basically compare year over year as to when we start tasks and have a much more if everybody can see a much more efficient understanding as to what we're doing and when for the RM. But as for the public works yards, we do have it in the budget to purchase several dozen trees to start blocking that sight line off, but we still haven't purchased those trees. And we need to do it because pretty much the province is running out of trees to sell. And I've brought this up several times, but this year is unprecedented for the garden centers, and they're running out. So if we don't buy them soon, there won't be any trees to plant when we have time to plant them. So that is one way that we can start to address that issue. And obviously it takes a few years for the trees to grow, but if we start planting them now, then we'll start to address this issue with which a lot of residents have brought up in the past.
Good points. And thank you. Graham, did you have your hand up?
I just wondered, does anybody know the undesirable items that are being brought to our recycling depot? Does this occur in the evening after hours?
It occurs at all times, I believe. I took a photo today before I came out here.
Yeah, you mentioned that, yeah.
Like there's a washing machine, there's a stove, there's a radio, there's all sorts of garbage and discards from people's homes that have no reason to be there. It should go to the dump.
Well, I certainly appreciate that Public Works doesn't have time to meet and greet and police who's doing what. I've suggested a few times that we hire a summer student, put a red vest on them as our waste recycling greeter for the balance of this summer. There's all manner of things that he could attend to, and he could certainly fend off anybody trying to dump something undesirable. But there's other people there who appear to be confused about what goes where, can we not just hire a summer student and put him there as the waste and recycling guide coordinator, whatever, and an amateur policeman while he's at it?
It's not that simple. They have to be trained. They need to be sheltered. They can't be just stand outside. And I think and personally, I believe a lot of that dumping is happening in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So we're going to need somebody 7/24. So that's a great idea, and it's a great idea for next year when we move the garbage and when the garbage and recycling have been moved to their new location. I think it's a great idea to have somebody there who will show people what goes where.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mike. Certainly next year, there'll be even more need for somebody to help direct traffic there.
Yeah, well,
The other, did we discuss, thanks Graham, did we discuss installing a camera at the existing location?
it's part of the plan, yes. Oh, at the existing location? No, or I haven't anyway. I think it'd be a great idea.
All of that is illegal dumping. It's all illegal dumping.
Yeah, it's all illegal dumping, so.
Well, let's put a camera in. If there's one part of the longer term solution, so we just buy the camera X months sooner. It's got to be bought anyway. Let's go ahead and get one.
Absolutely.
I'm all in favor of getting a camera. I asked for one at the beginning of the term, but the only thing about getting a camera is that it's not that simple because you have to take a look at the resolution, put in a full system. It's not a simple purchase, but we can absolutely do it. We could have it purchased by next week. I still have all the contacts from when I was looking into it 3 years ago.
Well, we have had installed some new cameras this year already at a couple of locations, and they were installed by local individuals. So we do have the technology and the people who can do that for us as well. So,
Well, if Mike says it's part of the bigger plan over the coming months, so we simply buy it a few months earlier and get it up and running. It can always be moved. It's not that hard.
Absolutely.
all right, we'll pass that along to Public Works as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
most importantly, it should have a motion detector on it, so that only activates when there is motion there. So that way you can do the people who are actually doing the dumping, get their picture, and then send them a nice old ticket in the mail.
Yeah.
And it will also get pictures of the bears who are possibly getting into the garbage.
Yes. Yeah. You can give them a what for?
You can give them
Give them a ticket.
give them. All right, so good discussion, thank you. We will answer the resident in writing. I don't know that I'll give them a phone call, but I might, or I could, anyways, I will for sure answer them in writing.
That's good, thank you. And I'm glad you brought that piece of correspondence to the table. A good discussion.
Correspondence regarding PR 504 and the Sandy Bay Beach. I just want to remind all residents that PR 504 is a provincial road.
Yes.
And the north portion of the Sandy Bay Beach near the lagoon is also public. So private property owners in that area have every right, in my view, to post trespassing signs on their property. Sometimes that property is the beach. They can install boulders or build fences to try and keep trespassers off of their privately owned beaches. One of the comments in some of the correspondence was, well, public access could mean public amenities. Well, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Public amenities are more for provincial parks, and we have limited public facilities. So the new signage that's going to be installed at that end of the beach will say that there are no services and no parking.
No parking, no amenities. Yeah.
So, but beachgoers are allowed to park on Highway 504. And unless they're parked illegally, and Mike brought that up a little earlier about in a conversation, the police should be contacted. Our police have a right to ticket if they're parked illegally or doing something illegal on the beach as well. So please call our police. Some of these things are an enforcement issue, and if the police don't know, they can't do anything about it. If they're not, don't happen to drive by or be there, they won't be able to deal with it.
That's right, draw their attention to it. This council, we're responsible for creating the bylaws. We are not on the enforcement side. You want enforcement, you must contact the police.
I was recently asked on the avenues if we would be publishing or sending out the latest restrictions regarding vaccinations and quarantine or isolation requirements for out of province cottage owners or people coming in. And my response was, well, the minute we publish something, it's going to change. So what we have been doing in our emails to residents is saying, please check the following link for the most up-to-date information. I know it's been on our Facebook page as well. I would hesitate to give out the wrong information or the information that changes the next day.
So go to the source, manitoba.ca/code.
The province has put enormous resources into keeping people advised. For us trying to keep up on our own is just not viable. They're the best source.
Yeah, and what may be suitable or may be applicable in one province may not be applicable in Manitoba. If you're coming to Manitoba, it's incumbent upon you to check the website, the covid.mb, what is it? manitoba.ca/COVID-19 website for up-to-date information.
If you're coming from out of province right now, you have to isolate for 14 days, and the police are fully informed by the RCMP as to who is coming from out of province, and they will be checking. If you don't isolate, then you will face ramifications of that.
But again, that's changing.
That changes tomorrow.
So
Yeah.
in Manitoba, if you're entering or arriving in Manitoba, you must self-isolate for 14 days. But if you are fully vaccinated and you were vaccinated 2 weeks ago, you don't have to. So that's where, if we try to explain it and make a mistake, we'll be taken to task. I think it's really important for anyone who's concerned to go to the Manitoba website and read the entire document, not just the sections that you want to believe. Read the entire document so you know what changes have come into play in Manitoba. Those are my correspondence issues. Anybody else? Mike? Sorry.
I have one, and it's, oh, I'm sorry, Erwin, did you want to go first?
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay. Mine has to do with speeding. And the email originated from someone who is on 8th Avenue. But speeding is a problem throughout the entire RM. Every morning out for a walk, I'm flagging down contractors and informing them of what the speed limit is and the expectation that they follow it. What I'd like to see is, and you know what, I'm gonna make the broad general term, and I don't think anybody's gonna disagree. 8 out of 10 times, anybody who is speeding is a contractor. They're rushing to get to the job. They're not familiar with the roads. Maybe they miss a speed sign or what have you. Do businesses come to the gate to get their passes as well?
Yes.
Their business passes as well? Then we need a letter to be delivered with that is to be.
There is conditions of use.
Okay, but this is, but I'm saying a letter to the owner of the company, and it is incumbent on the owner of the company to respond to the letter that they understand and that they have told their staff that this is the speed limit if you're working in Victoria Beach. Otherwise, we're not going to let you work in Victoria Beach. Because personally, I'm tired of it too.
They get a rules of use, which is speeding is part of it. And the municipality has the right to void the permit.
So as I said, let's get a confirmation back from them that the owner of the company, the person who has skin in the game, stands to lose the business, understands and tells their employees it's 20 when it says 20 and it's 30 when it says 30. Let's start something.
We don't even get through the application, so I don't know
Yeah.
how much luck we're gonna have with them making any kind of commitment. Other than filling their
I
price.
saw a lot of businesses on that list of permit applications. That's a good start.
Just admit it. Like, we
Yeah,
can
I mean-
submit anything we want to them, if they don't give it back to us.
That's the thing. Tell them that the expectation is that they must respond to the letter.
Well, I've gone after a few contractors last year and I point blank told them if they didn't comply with what I was asking them to comply with, we were pulling the permit. They
So,
wouldn't be allowed in.
so get their agreement to it beforehand.
I mean, they agree to it in the application, and I mean, all of it still comes down to the police giving them a ticket. If they get a ticket, then I mean, it's all enforced that way. The only thing that we could do really would be to ask our police service to inform us as to when a contractor receives a ticket, and then we could enforce it that way. But I don't know the laws surrounding that. I'm sure there's probably some privacy issues with doing that. But that's really the only way that you're going to be able to enforce that.
What if we come up with a sticker or something? When they get their pass and they get the information, it says something like 20 kilometer, you must follow the speed limit. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if they read anything.
Well,
So here's the deal. We don't need to do any of this. It's already on the application. I understand the permit granted to me pursuant to this application authorizes me to operate the above described vehicles only between the hours of time subject to change within the restricted area of the municipality for the purpose stated in this application. I also understand that the municipality may revoke a vehicle permit for contravention of any municipal bylaw and or provincial statute. And they have to sign them.
and that has to be signed by someone who can
Every
bind
single
the
one
company
signed.
to that agreement.
They're not on the list if they haven't provided us this.
But then what about the people who aren't on the list who
They
come
get
in?
that form.
They get the form. All right.
They get the form and the pass. I mean, you could have a blank of those if you want.
They get the letter, in the pass saying,
But this
Here's-
they've already given
yeah,
it to us.
that's right. That's right. Okay, so for the day passers, they get the sheet of paper.
Well, you can make a blank too if you want and make them sign it and keep it. You can give them one that they keep and one that is left at the gate with their signature.
Anyway, there's,
Okay.
we're
Far too many, yeah.
gonna do something about this. Obviously, what we're doing now is not effective, so we're gonna do more.
And are you finding it in your area as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. I walk all over everywhere. Sometimes,
Yeah.
if it ain't in the VRA, it seems I walk there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is for citizens on patrol.
Right.
We have citizens on patrol folks, so I tend to walk outside the VRA. And there are just as many contractors
Yeah,
some
there are.
days outside the VRA as there are inside the VRA. So it's common throughout the RM, and it's something I'm getting real tired of.
So for instance, the folks who may not be the same contractors working in your area,
Mhm.
or this may not be the same contractors who have to go through the information office to get their pass.
That's right.
Chances are they're doing work all over, but
Maybe some where they don't need a permit because they didn't go in the vehicle restricted.
Well, I've got no problem printing something off, and if I see one of those contractors blow by and I happen to happen upon their work site, I'll walk up and ask who's in charge. Read this.
Graham's got his hand up.
all right, thank you, Steve.
I think Erwin wanted to make a point as well, but let me just say, can we not revisit the idea of putting up an electronic speed sign on 8th Avenue? I thought we had it in the budget. We were going to get at least one more electronic speed sign and
Once the
probably.
second one is built, absolutely, it's got to go there. It's got to go all over the RM.
Yeah, we put in three or four posts and move it around. I would suggest, I'm not going to speak up in defense of these contractors' scofflaws, but a lot of it might be that they just didn't realize, they didn't think. These electronic signs like that one on Safi Road, it's done a wonderful job. It reminds people, it points out, it's right in your face. We've got to get one on 8th Avenue.
Yeah. So Graham actually took the point that I was saying away from me, because we still haven't purchased another one, even though it was in the budget. But also we haven't finalized changing all the yellow speed signs over to white speed signs.
Yes.
Yellow speed signs are not enforceable, white speed signs are. And we still haven't put a speed sign on all the at least at most of the recommendations that I put up and submitted about 3 years ago. And we don't necessarily have to do all the ones, but I mean, the majority of the areas that I was recommending didn't have a speed sign for 3 or 4 blocks. So, I mean, you have to have it in order to be able to have something that you can enforce easily.
We all recommended where the speed sign should go in our areas. And again, Public Works has their prioritized list of things that they have to do, and the speed signs will go in when the speed signs can go in.
We're also short a couple employees
Yeah, we're
at Public
short,
Works this
yeah.
year, which is making a difference.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Erwin, you did have your hand up?
So if anybody wants to work with
I have another piece of correspondence, if we could move on.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Erwin.
I received an email last week from a resident of Albert Beach. Their property is down on the lake shore. Now that Mitch's property development is proceeding, many of the lots there are being brought up to the bylaw requirement. I think it's 722. Don't quote me on that. But nevertheless, what's happening at the bottom of Gerard, and we discussed this a while ago, we've had 4 very dry years. But it wasn't so terribly long ago that we had some torrential rains 4 or 5 years ago, and Gerard and some of the properties on Traverse Boulevard flooded. The water gets trapped by the natural beach berm. Mitch had agreed to allow us to put in some sort of a drainage system that would pick up the water out of the bottom of Gerard and move it over through his drainage system, which flows to the west. And so I think I don't have my budget numbers with me at the beach. I can't remember if we put any money in for an engineering study. Raymond, can you help me on that one?
Not off the top of my head, I don't think.
Those
we
get
did.
done
I
for
think at
over
the
a
very
year
least,
ago,
we need
so.
to investigate the possibility of engaging an engineering firm to give us some recommendations on how we might provide drainage for the bottom part of Gerard and all of Traverse Boulevard. Because if it rains like it did, 5 or 6 years ago, we're going to have an even bigger problem than we had back then. And back then, the water was up to the floorboards on the cottages on Gerard.
We do have trash pumps, we call them, right?
Yeah.
At the end of Gerard.
Well, there's the permanent sump pumps.
Right.
There's 3 of them along the beach, but when it rains heavily, they can't keep up.
But
They've
so
been-
don't we then bring in Old Red or something?
Well, we've got a couple of irrigation pumps that are high capacity irrigation pumps that we can use. 8-inch and a 10 or 12-inch. It works off a tractor PTO.
Tractor drive, it's a big spiral worm drive.
The one thing with the drainage is, everything's been kind of set back with hydro being on strike, and the lift station hasn't got power to it yet. So I guess you'd have to keep that in the plans.
Yes, I thought that
If you're
was
moving the
in
water-
the plan for exactly that.
Yeah, if you're moving the water all the way there has to be a way to evacuate the water. So,
But again, I think we need to take a little longer term view on this. There's obviously short term problems because the current lift pump at the west end of Poirier's property is gas powered, and eventually it'll be electric. But I think we need to start to give some serious thought to how we're going to provide some drainage. A simple culvert probably is not much. It's not much more than that is needed. But we need to address it before it floods.
Has the permit been applied for to hydro to electrify that main lift station at the west end that has a gas pump?
Yeah, I actually ran into Mitch today and I asked him that question and he said they are waiting for hydro. They're waiting for the permit. They're
Okay.
months and months behind schedule. He
Yeah.
feels that once he gets the permit and gets it rolling, that will eliminate a lot of the moisture that's sitting in ditches and stuff. He assures me that his ditches are to the height or depth as required. And he assures me that once his pump is running, it will handle the water that comes his way. Whether or not Travers Boulevard needs more work, I know we have discussed it, but I'm not sure where to go from there.
Well, be a council decision if you want to get some engineering done. That's up to council.
I
think we should at least have a preliminary engineering review done. Not necessarily a full-blown report, but just they did all the, Stantec did all the drainage work as far as the elevations for Mitch, did they not?
No, it was an individual engineer that did it, not Stantec. It wasn't a company, it was a private individual.
Well, why don't we look into it and see what our options are?
Okay. That sounds good. Let's have a look.
All right, thank you, Erwin. Any other correspondence came to your attention?
I mean, the only thing that I have is the same thing that I say at the end of every meeting since the pandemic started, which is just go get your vaccines, go get the second vaccine. Once you get that second vaccine, apply for your passport, and so that way we can all get back to normal. The biggest problem that we have right now is that there is a lot of fear over the vaccines for some reason, and I can definitely empathize with people who are hesitant on vaccinations if they haven't been fully informed. But there are no long-term side effects from vaccines because they're only in your body for 2 weeks. So once those 2 weeks are done, that's the last time that you'll be able to see effects from it. So go get your vaccines. They're ready. They're sitting there. They're waiting. Let's get back to normal. We didn't have any cases last year. Let's hope we don't again. But the more people that get double vaccinated, the faster we can get back to normal. So go get your vaccines. They're safe. I watched Stephen Colbert last night, and they had a full audience. I want to be able to go into an auditorium again.
All right.
Okay, thanks very much. Anything else, gentlemen? All right, I just got rid of my resolutions. Be it resolved that the June 15th, 2021 regular council meeting be adjourned. Next regular council meeting to be held on July 6th, 2021 at 6 p.m. here at 705, 1661 Portage Avenue, Winnipeg. May I have a mover?
I'll move that.
Second? Mike? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.